This video is going to be a look at a factor or one of the elements that I think is huge in determining whether the Ravens offense is effective for longer stretches of a 60-minute football game in the NFL. And the issue of Pat Ricard being a key, and that's a double entente there, is both simple and complicated at the same time. We know that teams key on Ricard and his movement, his path, his flow, the direction he goes in post-snap once the ball is snapped. I think Foye-Oluokun last week for the Jags did a great job identifying formations, pointing at Ricard or certain other players when Ricard went in motion. I think it should give us a little bit of an indication as fans as to what defenses are looking at, what they're studying, and trying to apply on the field. So I'm going to show you, I want you to focus on the first three plays, really, and that'll be the structured portion of this. And then we'll kind of digress a little bit. This is all going to be what looks like pistol option, but we know the Ravens are running some just counter wind-back where it's a called give. In this case, Ricard is motioning from left to right for the offense, and Lamar is opening opposite of him. I'll pull this back in a second so you can see it. So Ricard's going to motion left to right, and Lamar is opening opposite of him. Usually in the past, when we've run our option out of the pistol, and this is not option necessarily because Lamar's back's turned, Ricard's feet will be here, and Lamar would open to this side. Ricard would veer to the right, and they would, read the end man on the line of scrimmage, Lamar and Ricard at the same time. If the end man on the line of scrimmage went upfield, Ricard would insert and go block the frontside inside linebacker. That would be a give. If the end man on the line of scrimmage would run down the line, then Ricard, again, whose feet are there, would loop around, and he would go get the frontside inside linebacker or the first player that shows up from the second level, and that would be a keep for Lamar. So he would open, read it, and then keep it following Ricard around the end. Usually, if you were to graph it, I think most of your gains for Lamar on that concept at some point would have fallen. They would be decreasing. That concept needed to evolve. The Ravens think they have evolved. Lamar's opening opposite. He's opening this way. Ricard's path is taking him to the right. It's not a read. You can tell by Lamar. Now, he does read it sometimes. Sometimes it's called for him to read the backside guy. And I think it's quite effective when we run away from Ricard. Why? Is it saying that Ricard's not a good blocker? No, he has been inconsistent this year blocking. But I think now that we have this established pattern of running behind Ricard, we can manipulate the defense, I think, a little bit better. Another example against the Bengals, pretty much a mirrored image of what I just showed you. Ricard going in motion, Lamar opening this way, and then the running back, pulling it back behind Ricard and the pulling the offensive lineman. It's an effective scheme, don't get me wrong. I offer to you, I would like to see us run away from Ricard's motion. And I'll have two examples, I think, here that I'll show you from the Jags game, one of which was very effective early in the game, I think, second possession. And then another one that was somewhat less effective. All right, here's the one that I'm talking about, the first one I'm referring to. Lamar's going to open towards Ricard's flow, and the wind back is happening behind him, away from Ricard. So Ricard is going here. Normally you would have the left guard or someone will be pulling, and we will be running the power. Lamar, essentially power. Lamar would be opening opposite of Ricard, and the running back would wind it back, pull it back behind Ricard. This time we're doing the opposite. I think this is actually a little bit more effective. I want to make a baseball comparison here that I'm not sure is really a great one because I think it depends on the pitcher. The previous two plays I showed you, I would say that's like our fastball now. And this here, I would say that's like our slider or something. Whatever our actual, I think this is actually our best pitch because it's Ricard reading the end man on the line of scrimmage. So Lamar can keep it, but we've got the center, which is Linderbaum pulling, and then Moses pulling back in the opposite direction. Gus, in this case, keeps it, 15-yard gain. I'm going to pull this back in a moment so you can see the read that I'm talking about. So this is still an option play. And I think that's the thing that makes it really effective for me. Let me move forward a little bit so we can get rid of the spot shadows. All right, So Ricard's motioning left to right, and he's reading this end man on line of scrimmage, the D end. The D end gets upfield, so that's a give. If the D end had chased, I suspect Ricard would just loop around and Lamar would keep it if he is actually reading it, which it looks like he is late here to me. Looks like he's picked up the read key slightly late for me, just based on what I think I understand. I really like the play. I love the play going against the flow of Ricard's motion. And we can do this with other guys. Before Isaiah Likely was hurt most recently, I think we had run this with him one time for a pretty big gain against New Orleans. I was unable to find that. All right, a slightly different look. This is more traditional for the Ravens. Ricard is on the right, and Lamar is going to open to the left in the same direction that Ricard is going. It's a keep. Ricard loops around, possibly gets away with a hold on Devin Lloyd. This is more traditional. I kind of drew this up a little bit earlier, but I had Ricard's feet on the other side. Ricard is reading the end man on line scrimmage, which I think is Arden Key, along with Lamar, and he loops outside to go get the frontside inside linebacker. And this is a 5-3 look by the Jags. They got 9 men in the box, counting the corner. Ravens do a nice job of just arc releasing. Doesn't really arc. Andrews just releases outside. It's not really the arc release technique. He just steps to Arden Key. Arden Key steps down. Why? Why does Arden Key step down? Why is he going this direction? Well, he's got a lineman pulling away from him. That's Ricard. And he's got Lamar opening to him. This is the issue. When Lamar has been opening to you recently, think of the first 2 plays that I just showed you. The first 2 plays, when Lamar opens to you as a D end, the run is going away from you. So Arden Key's running down the line. Ricard loops outside. Lamar keeps it. If we do this enough, I'm talking about this play where Lamar opens to Ricard's flow. And then the play prior to that. Let me go back to that for 1 second. This play here, if we do those 2 plays enough, where we run to Ricard's motion, and then we run back behind his motion, I think we can really cause problems for defenses. I don't know how much trouble we'll cause Denver today with some of our more traditional option plays. QB counter read has really been hurting everybody, but the Jags did a nice job last week. I'm really interested to see how effective we are with some of our pistol option stuff, specifically the stuff that's going against Ricard or away from Ricard's flow. A short yardage situation, I think, on our 3rd possession. We only get 3 yards, but you see Ricard goes to the left against this 5-3 look, and that pulls Devin Lloyd out of there. So by giving multiple keys, by giving multiple looks in terms of running behind Ricard in motion, running away from Ricard when he's in the backfield, like we did here, or the previous play to that, running toward Ricard's motion, essentially following him, but having him dual read it with Lamar, I think presents the defense with a lot of options to deal with. Now, the one thing I will say is I think there hasn't been enough play action from these situations. There just hasn't been enough times where we're opening up, running play action, and hitting people on the over concepts that used to be like the staple of this offense with Mark Andrews. I don't feel like those are being hit as much recently. Look at the reaction you're getting by the inside linebacker. He's scraping over the top because he's reading Ricard, but he's got eyes in the backfield. We have opportunities to try to fill this vacated space, contingent upon, the safeties not being there. But in any case, it's a 7 or 8 yard gain for Lamar outside to the right behind Ricard's block. Another arc, I call it an arc release. If the tight end was here and he was going to arc release up to the safety, the path would be something like this, maybe a little wider. This is just the same thing from a fullback in the backfield, just an arc release, releasing outside. So giving that D end something to worry about. In this case, the D end is keying the tackle like he should be. That's the technical way to do it. He's keying the tackle, stepping down to take away the dive, and the inside linebacker is gap exchanging it, going with Ricard, because this could be a pass play. This could be a pass play to Ricard out in the flats and something like that. So now they've put this guy in a whole heck of a lot of conflict in terms of whether to go with Ricard. Ricard doesn't get a great block there, but at least we get 7 or 8 yards and we pick up the first down. You guys let me know what you think. I think that one of the first things I look for each week is whether teams are able to defend the counter wind back. When we have hit people early with that concept, we have hit people all game. Now, twice last week, I thought I saw us run away from Ricard's flow, and I thought it was effective. The first 15-yard run to Gus, which was the third play I showed you here. And then there was a 3-yard gain later on near midfield where that was our third possession. I think 2 plays later we turned it over on the 4th and 1 quarterback sneak after the ball was respotted. So it's not like that second one was a huge gain. Don't get me wrong. What do you guys think? I am interested every week early in, are we going to betray the Ricard key? Are we going to run backside of it, away from it? And if you ask me, the moment we do that and start hitting a couple of those 15-yard gains like I showed you on the third play, then now the keys that the opposing defense has practiced all week, the pre-snap indicators and the tendencies, they kind of go out the window. And I feel like that's the one thing that's one of the things the Ravens offense has been remiss at, is determining, okay, what are they reading in certain situations, and then how do we combat that? I feel like that's just fundamental football done in a progression of plays or sequence of plays. It'll be interesting to me to see how the Broncos defend, all aspects of the Ravens offense. I have said in a preview video on Saturday morning that I thought we were going to get a touchdown from outside the red zone. I'm not sure if that'll be a big pass play. It could be a defensive score. It could be anything. It could be a big run. I think we'll get one big play on this defense from outside the red zone for a score. It could be a trick play. It could be a counter windback where we run against or behind the flow of Ricard and kind of fool the defense and fool the second-level guys. Let me know what you guys think of the video, and let me know what your predictions are for the game in the comment section.